Hey guys, welcome to today's lesson. My name is Tom Fontana from TheGuitarLesson.com, and today I'll be teaching you how to decipher those chord charts, those chord diagrams. Now you'll find them all over the place. You go up to Ultimate Guitar, and if you find any song that has chords in it, you'll see a little C there for a C major chord, and if you pull your mouse over it, you'll see the chord diagram, or you'll find these chord diagrams in other types of sheet music, other websites as well. So it's really good and useful stuff, and you'll want to know how to read those chord charts, how to decipher those chord charts. Let's just dive into it. Let's have a look at the guitar neck first of all. You'll see the nut, you'll see the frets, and you'll see the strings. Chord charts are basically snapshots of the guitar neck. Now if we have a look at a standard chord diagram and just flip the guitar over a bit so you can see how they're similar, you'll see that the nut is on the chord diagram as well. You'll see the frets on the chord diagram, and you'll also see the strings on the chord diagram. So you can see that the chord diagram or chord chart or whatever you want to call it is just basically an image of the neck of the guitar, and the symbols that we'll be using on the chord charts will actually show you which chord you'll need to finger and how you'll finger those given chords. So let's just have a look at a D chord chart and a D chord fingering, just because that chord just basically includes all the symbols that you're likely to see on chord charts. So notice that the lowest two strings, the low E string and the A string, that has an X up by the nut. The X always means that you're not supposed to play those strings whatsoever, okay? You'll notice also that the D string, it has a 0 or an O up at the nut, and that means that you're supposed to play that as an open string. So don't fret that anywhere, that's just an open string. Next, you'll see these little bubbles or dots or whatever they may be. Those are actually the frets that you'll need to hold down on the guitar's neck. So with the D major chord, you'll have a dot right here at the second fret of the G string, another dot right here at the second fret of the high E string, and then another dot right here at the third fret of the B string. And this is actually your chord. Now, since we're playing the D string open as specified by that little O right up at the nut, we'll need to play the higher 4 strings to get the D major chord. Now at times, you might also see numbers within those dots. Whenever you see a number there, that will mean the fingering. It does not mean the fret count as in tablature. If you see numbers on dots on chord diagrams, that will mean the fingering. 1 is your first finger, 2 is your second finger, 3 is your third finger. And the pinky would be your fourth finger, but we're not using it in this example. You'll also see a lot of chord charts for bar chords, and the way they denote that is they just add a number right next to the nut on the chord chart. Now this chord chart is telling us to play an A major bar chord, and that means that we'll need to place a bar across all the strings at the 5th fret. And the dots, those will be relative to this 5th fret bar, okay? So your third finger will go to the 7th fret of the A string, your pinky goes to the 7th fret of the D string, and your middle finger goes to the 6th fret of the G string. And that's an A major bar chord. You're probably not at the level where you can play this bar chord yet, but just know that if you ever see a number right up at the nut, that means you won't be playing it in an open position, you'll be playing it in a barred position somewhere along the neck. Now if you see any numbers on those dots, you'll know that that means that's the fingering that you'll need to use. So the bar has a 1 right there, that means that's the first finger. This note right here has 3, that's the ring finger. This note right here has a 4, that's the pinky. And this note right here has a 2, and that's the middle finger. All right, good job. So I hope you can keep up and it's sort of making sense. Let's just have a look at a couple of examples, okay? So have a look at this chord chart. I'll just give you a couple of seconds to decipher it. Now as you can see, the low E string is open. The A string is held down at the 2nd fret. The D string right below that is held down at the 2nd fret as well. the G string is held down at the first fret, the B string is open, and the high E string is open. And that's an E major chord. Here's the next example. So here you can see that you're not using the low E string whatsoever. That's symbolized by the X right beside the nut. The A string is held down at the third fret. The D string is held down at the second fret. The G string is open, and the B string is held down at the first fret, while the high E string is open as well. And that's a C major chord. All right, good job. So I hope you're getting it. Let's just have a look at the next example. Now you'll note that the bar is at the third fret, so this will be a G bar chord since it's rooting at the G note on the third fret of the low E string. And this is actually a G major bar chord, just like we had with the A major bar chord up at the fifth fret. All right, good job. So you probably won't be able to play these bar chords yet, but you still need to know the symbol for it on the chord diagram, so just learn it well. And let's just have a look at the next example. Now this is another bar chord, and it's an A string bar chord rooting on the A string since we're not using the low E string. And you'll notice that you'll need to place your bar at the fifth fret this time around. And your D, G, and B strings are being held down. And the way to hold that down is just to lay your ring finger flat right there. You'll also notice that I'm muting the low E string with the tip of my finger right here. That's a good way to mute the low E string if you're strumming, so you won't be including that string in your strum. But that's a bit more intermediate level stuff. We'll get there in other lessons. So let's just have a look at the next example. Whoa, now this is a bit more complicated. As you can see, you'll be holding down the E string at the second fret, but your A string will be muted. Now, how do you do that? This is actually a sort of common chord. This is D/F sharp. Slash chords are a bit more intermediate stuff as well, but just so you know, when you see something like this, don't get scared, don't do anything. You'll just actually need to fret everything, and there are always methods to hold down such chords. As you can see with this chord, this is actually a D/F sharp chord. So your bass chord will be the D, but the slash will mean that the lowest note in the chord will be an F sharp. And the F sharp is actually right here at the second fret of the low E string. You can hold that down, and you can also mute the A string with your thumb right here. All right, so that's a tough one. Don't worry if you can't hold it down yet. I just wanted you to know what it means when you see an X in the middle of all the strings. So that's basically everything. You now know how to read chord charts. Also keep in mind that different websites will use different formats for these chord charts. So for example, have a look at chord charts on Ultimate Guitar. You'll notice that the chord chart is sideways. They actually, I think, had them upwards the normal way, but they just changed it to the sideways not long ago, or maybe not, I don't know, I just never noticed this before. And this actually means that the lowest string is at the bottom and the highest string is at the top. This is sort of like reading tabs, with the exception that they're not tabs, they're chord charts. You'll notice that this is an A minor, and the way you fret the A minor, as you can see on this chord chart, is you fret you pluck the open A string. The reason why there's a little black dot right there is because that's the root note. The second finger goes to the second fret of the D, the third finger goes to the second fret of the G, and the first finger goes to the first fret of the B, and the high E is open. Now another way you might see these chord charts on different tab sites is this. Now this is sort of a tablature style chord chart, but don't worry about it. The main point is the same. The lowest string is the bottom line, and the highest string, the high E string, is the top line. and this is an A minor as well, and the fingering is just like we had on the previous example. Alright, so that's pretty much it. I hope you found this lesson useful. Have a look at all of our other lessons at TheGuitarLesson.com, and I'll see you in one of them. Bye-bye.